Hello and welcome to Madoka Magicast. It's a podcast devoted to the dark magical girl anime Puella Magi Madoka Magica. I am your host Amanda, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Yasha and Vana.
Hi!
They're the owners of the biggest revolutionary girl Utena website, Empty Movement. And basically, they are watching for the Madoka anime for the first time ever, along with me, a longtime fan. And we're going to talk about what we love and don't love about the show. And today we're doing episode 9. Yeah. The aftermath of Sayaka's very bad day.
Well,
what did you guys think of this episode?
I love this episode. This is a good episode.
Yeah, it is extremely good.
We've been bitching about wanting another labyrinth, and they were like, fine.
We're gonna give you one.
Yeah.
Here's a labyrinth, you cows. we're like, fucking move. It's a good episode. And like I'm seeing like in the notes here that it was storyboarded by like an actual one of the directors at Shaft. Like, is that like a bigger name?
Yeah, this is maybe I should mention our credits here for a moment.
Yeah.
So episode 9 is titled "I'd Never Allow That to Happen." It was first aired on the 3rd of March 2011. So script again was written by our boy Gen. It was storyboarded. The credit for the storyboarding is given to Noriko Shichishima, but this is actually a pseudonym for Aki Yuki Shinbo, who is a director at Shaft and has worked on tons and tons of Shaft anime and tons of anime from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. So, I mean, I didn't recognize anything else that he had worked on, but his credits list is like 2 pages long, and apparently, you know how Ikuhara is suspected to use pseudonyms for when he does certain things in like Utena and other stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was worth mentioning that this guy, because he's using a pseudonym as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Same idea, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened? Oh, this is completely off topic.
Okay.
But whatever happened with that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing that Ikuhara was suspected to be involved in?
Yes. Would you like to explain that for the audience, in case they haven't heard of it?
Apparently, Ikuhara worked on an episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I can't remember what the episode is called because I'm just going off my memory right now. But it was the one with the, like, teenage kids from another planet, and there's a shot in it that's suspiciously like one of the shots, I think, from Miki's duel with, or Miki's final duel with
Kozue in the
cars.
cars.
Yeah.
Well, friend of the show, Jason, over at Tuxedo Unmasked, looked into that, because he's the guy you want to call to, like, verify any kind of weird trivia. And he basically came to the conclusion that that's very unlikely to be true, because at the time, those early, so what happened was Toei was hired to do the first 5 episodes of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show from, like, the late 80s, which was very common, and apparently that's why those episodes look so good, is because Toei animated them, and then when the show got picked up, they just did, like, the cheapest animation they could find. But basically, when those episodes were animated by Toei, Ikuhara had been working at Toei for, like, a year and a half, so it's basically...
It's possible kind of thing.
It's possible, but extremely unlikely that someone who had just been out of college for a year and a half was given an episode to direct. And then, like, not credited for it. So, what most likely happened was the guy... So, this rumor came from an interview with, like, an American guy who worked on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show, who, like, met Ikuhara once, and like had lunch with him, and that's where this topic came up. So, it seems like most likely there was maybe a language barrier. Like Ikuhara tried to say, I was a director at Toei, and the guy, in context, or the way it was worded or something, the guy misinterpreted it as, like, he directed that episode.
Well, but it is entirely possible if he was working at the time, he would have seen the storyboards for it and got that idea for that shot.
Oh, very possible.
That he later took home.
It's not a completely non-existent connection. Yeah. But it's just very... the rumor that he literally directed that episode is probably not true.
No. No.
Yeah. Okay. That is definitely an interesting little tidbit, though, and sorry to hijack the podcast. I just remembered right at that moment that you had commented on it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
We're feeding Oscar early this year.
Yes.
Yes, it's true. Okay.
So the episode director was Masahiro Mukai, which I know we've seen on previous episodes. And the animation director is Miyuki Katayama. So, yes, that is episode 9, The Aftermath of Sayaka's Very Bad Day. Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to just dive directly into the episode or if you want to do some Curious Cats.
Let's do some Curious Cats first.
All right. Let's see what the Curious Cats
I did put out a call for questions earlier today.
Dun.
So we're recording this on May 24th, which is a Friday, and this week we had to do a skip week for the podcast because all of us were just way too busy to get the episode out on time. So we apologize, but someone sent us a very nice ask that says, thanks for the show on any release schedule that works for you. I'm sure a fixed schedule doesn't matter to us, your audience. You're creating something high quality that takes a ton of work and time, and we appreciate it. So thank you very much, Anonymous. That was very nice.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It is surprisingly hard to pull off something like this often.
Yeah, it's deceptively more time consuming than you might.
Yeah, big mood. It's the same as building websites. It's like, oh, this looks easy.
Yeah.
But
or making
20 hours later.
Yeah, or making visual novels or drawing comics. All of that takes a lot of time.
It is nice to know that is understood and appreciated.
We got another question from the person who asked us about their Magical Girl RPG. They say, I just wanted to say thank you. Your advice, even/especially to think like Akio, was very illuminating and making my players actively utilize the central theme to solve problems as well. And as usual, thank you for making an incredible podcast. If you get a game going on Patreon, I will absolutely put out money for that. Oh, so thank you.
Excellent.
Maybe that is something that people would like to
Yeah.
see. Yeah. I'm thinking when we're off our skip week next week, we'll have probably launched the Patreon by now. I know I keep saying that, but like I said, it's just a matter of having the time to
put it all together.
Double check everything and make sure that everything is ready to go.
Yeah.
So maybe that is a possibility in the future. Okay.
Totally.
Here are 3 questions related to episode 9, but perhaps we should talk about that after going through the episode.
Yeah, all right. I think so.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
All right, let's do this. All right, so what do we get here with our cold open?
So we kind of go back to where we left off before, where we find out that something terrible is going to happen. They don't repeat that whole, like, really graphic, exploding out grief scene thing. I think at this point it would be belaboring the point. But
yeah.
You see her, like, teardrop and how stupid she was, and she turns into this just baller witch.
Yeah, I love this witch.
I like this witch, called Octavia von Seckendorf, a mermaid witch. It's in her nature to fall in love. Looking for the feeling that moved her so long ago, she moves with the entire concert hall. Her fortune only turns under the weight of memories and no longer moves toward the future. Nothing will reach her any longer, and she will come to know nothing more. She simply allows nobody to disturb the minions playing. It's got a lot of imagery of the train tracks, which I guess makes sense because that's the first place she kind of lost her shit.
Yeah.
I loved the concert posters, like, as they're walking in, you see them again. This huge concert hall with all of these red seats that nobody is in. There's nobody watching her. There's just this orchestra playing and a conductor and her just sort of, like, swaying in the background. And it says here that this appears in every timeline where Sayaka makes a contract, which I think is pretty yikes.
Yeah, in any timeline where Sayaka makes a contract, she turns into a witch.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like, it explains a lot of Homer is just sort of, like...
Yeah, just forget about her.
Yeah. Like, on one hand, it kind of makes sense for Homer because she is kind of like, I just don't have this the spoons for giving a shit about other people anymore. By the same token, like, especially in her case, at this point, yeah, she would not be especially inclined to say much positive when it's like, oh no, this has never ever worked out.
Yeah,
ever.
and also, like, it is worth remembering that, like, they don't get along. So
no, they do not.
Who am I going to be more upset about losing? The person who doesn't listen to me and is very judgmental, who dies in every timeline, or everybody else?
That's kind of the thing that I sort of struggle with Sayaka, is like, on one hand I do like her story arc and I do find her interesting, and on the other hand, like,
she's such a git.
Yeah. Like, it's not hard to... If you had told me someone was going to turn into a witch at the beginning of the show, I might have not believed you, because I would have been like, I don't know, that's not usually the level of deep we go into in animus, but it would have been Sayaka. Like,
we probably should mention that we've already seen episode 10 at this point.
It's true.
Just for people who might not realize that we've been watching these episodes in pairs and then recording the shows after.
Yeah. So we might make references.
We do know about timelines and episode 10 and all that stuff. So yeah, that's not a spoiler at this point.
Yeah, and I think
anyway.
You do learn some of that by the end of this episode too, anyway.
Yeah. The timeline thing you learn about earlier, it's the breadth of it that...
you know what? Honestly, I find it hard to remember when we learned it, because we were already talking about it back in, like, episode 6.
Timeline is mentioned earlier, because, like, whenever Homer and Kyuubey have that little bitch out, it gets mentioned, but it's not really made apparent that there were multiple ones or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at that point, it's kind of being presented more as that she made a wish to reset once, and that's kind of where we've been since. But then you find out later that it's a fucking Star Trek episode. And I mean, that's fine.
Let's not get it too ahead of episode 9 here.
Yeah.
So that is the witch she turns into. Kyoko does not try to fight her, really. Homer shows up and decides she's going to not so much fight as just get them all the hell out of there, because Kyoko is trying to preserve the body, which, like, is not doing anything, obviously, because it's dead now.
Yeah,
like,
we
kind of already covered that ground.
Right,
so.
Her soul is not in it anymore. And her soul gem exploded, so that's just a dead body at this point, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. But Homer, like, takes her hand, and that's apparently she can transfer her, like, time stop ability that way, whoever she's touching. She can use it with, and they just kind of run off, because she's like, you're not actually going to fight that thing right now, are you? Which, is fair, because she can. So she runs off with the body.
Homura does propose to her, like, you could just drop that body and we could just go kill it now.
Yeah, but it's totally in the sense of, like, she says it in the way where she knows that's not actually going to be how that goes. She knows Kyoko's not going to be like, oh, okay, in that case, let's do.
Kyoko pretty much immediately says no anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like, there's no point in even bringing it up after that. It's kind of sad.
So I have a question about that whole sequence.
Sure.
Which is, what is the relation between witches and girls? If they get new names and new, not necessarily histories, their histories have things in common, but like because I just kind of assumed that, oh, well, we're gonna see this witch and it's just gonna be called Sayaka Miki, but it's not. It's called Octavia von Seckendorf.
Right.
So, like, is that just
being that this is like this huge like difference, like yawning gulf between hope and despair kind of thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I almost want to say this is supposed to be some sort of commentary on how you literally do not feel like you're the same person when you're in that deep a depression.
Yeah, and like I think it also just goes to the fact that, like, it is Sayaka, but it's also not the same person anymore. Like, it's not Sayaka anymore. It's a monster now.
Yeah, and like changing the name reinforces that there is absolutely no way back from it.
And it's cool.
Yeah. And it's cool,
yeah.
and the names are cool
yeah.
and stuff.
And I mean, that covers up the spoiler a little bit too. Like, we can't just give them regular
That's
names.
true.
Yeah.
That's probably wow, that's a funny name for this witch to have something.
Yeah.
I wonder why she's a mermaid.
She's surrounded by water imagery.
Well, yeah,
like the whole.
I think it could go back to the original Little Mermaid tale also.
Oh, true.
That is true.
Yeah.
I'd actually been thinking of a little older than that, where mermaids were used for lesbian imagery a lot. But that doesn't seem to apply. Yeah, that's why I was wondering, is because I was snagging on that and going, but wait, mermaids are a symbol of lesbianism.
Well, I mean, Sayaka and Kyoko are a pretty
I mean, that's definitely shipper food.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, but it's.
I'm gonna guess that was like a lucky fringe benefit, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that's something
in the OG, like in the movie, because I haven't seen this one in a trillion, because it's the one I hate the most. Isn't Fuckboy actually playing a violin at some point?
Are you talking about Little Mermaid?
Yeah, the Disney movie.
I do not remember.
Are you kidding me? All I remember is the priest with a boner.
I feel vaguely like at some point when Ariel's being all like gobsmacked, he's actually playing a violin, which I'm not going to go back and check because I really hate that movie. If someone on Curious Cat wants to say yes or no, I do think that would be kind of funny because obviously,
How did the original go? Because wasn't it didn't she basically like die trying to get a guy's attention?
Yeah. It wasn't okay.
Well, she doesn't die. It's just she steps on razors for the rest of her life.
She steps on razors for the rest of her life. The guy falls in love with another woman. She does die, and since she has no soul, she's gonna go to hell. But then she makes a deal with an angel or something and becomes some kind of spirit. I think like a wind spirit or something like that, so that she can work off her sin.
Doesn't she transform into like sea foam or something?
Yeah, her body is supposed to transform into sea foam.
Something like that.
And that's the only thing that's left after she dies because she has no soul. That's how that went.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not that she was going to hell, it's that her body would become sea foam and she would be just gone. But she got the chance to stick around somehow. But yeah, that's how the Little Mermaid went. Is she literally died for the attempt to get a dude's notice, which was a sin, apparently.
When you boil it down, is kind of what Sayaka did.
Yeah.
Whether she likes to admit it or not.
So yeah, that's where the mermaid thing is coming from, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I said, it was just the lesbianism thing that was throwing me off.
It would not surprise me if it can be both.
Yeah.
It can definitely be both.
Yeah.
That kind of symbolism of the mermaid story might come in later with Rebellion, but obviously we can't talk about that yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Man, I'm like getting hyped for Rebellion.
I'm building this up so much. I hope it's not disappointing.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be fun either way, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
So, after the OP happens, then Madoka is wandering along the train tracks.
As you do when you're moping.
And 3 girls and a corpse walk along the train tracks.
Yeah.
And what's the punchline there? But anyway, so they meet
right before the intersection again.
Yeah. That's probably symbolic. Anyway.
Oh, isn't it like, can't you summon demons at a crossroads?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, lots of things happen at crossroads, though. That's where you can summon demons, you can meet demons. I know that some of the law from Voodoo like to have their offerings given at crossroads, things like that. They're just really, I don't know, mystical-ish places.
Yeah.
So Homura tells Madoka that her soul gem has turned into a witch, and that soul gems, when they turn black, that is always what happens, is they transform into witches. Madoka cries, of course.
Yeah, she's very sad that this has happened to Sayaka. Like, at first she like doesn't believe it. She's trying to like. So even here we see that like Madoka's first instinct is to like be in denial that this is what happened. Yeah.
But she doesn't cling to it very long.
No.
Like, she's not someone that's gonna dig her heels in with it. It's just Uso.
Yeah. So Homura tells her that Sayaka's curse became as powerful as her wish was. Which, wait a second here, because I do have a question about that. The relative power levels of her wish versus her curse versus how powerful Sayaka herself was seem kind of wonky. I don't know why. Like,
yeah, it's not.
It seems like it's not a 1-to-1 trade. Then is it?
I can't answer that, but I do know what you mean.
Yeah, because like her wish was to save Kyosuke.
Mm-hmm.
That's his name, right?
Yeah.
Dumbass. So her wish was to save that dumbass. And, I mean, that's pretty powerful, I guess. Mm-hmm. But then Sayaka herself really wasn't all that powerful. She couldn't even beat Kyoko, and seems to have been the weakest.
I'm going to say it probably, when they talk about power, I think they're talking about power relative to the wish. Because, Madoka is supposed to be the strongest magical girl ever, and she looks like she couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Like, looks weak as balls.
Well,
like, I don't know. Like, she doesn't look like a fighter, let's say. But it's going to be the strength of her wish that's going to have the correlating strength of curse.
It's the unevenness between the wish and the curse, and how strong Sayaka was that's, like, catching at me. And I'm really not sure why. So
one thing I will bring up... Oh, hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam. Do you have something to say?
Yep. He's sad because his favorite character died.
Oh, poor Sam.
Yeah, it's a bad day for you, I know. That's why I'm petting you. Okay.
One thing I will bring up is that this is actually, I've not mentioned this yet, but apparently Mommy's original power was her ribbon power. Mm-hmm. And that as she fought witches and got better at it and gained experience, she was able to turn her ribbon power into her gun power.
Ah.
So it's possible that just because you start out weak doesn't mean that you can't figure it out, if that makes sense.
Especially if hers was about survival specifically.
Yeah. And
survival is an adaptable
thing. And
as
we'll see later with Homura, like, her actual power is stopping time. All of the weapons she uses are just actual weapons. Like, it's just a regular
which I thought
gun.
was, like, so cute.
Yeah.
I liked that Rocky montage that we'll get to later.
Yeah.
But, I could see that. And, like, I don't know, like, so much about Sayaka's wish and her attitude around fighting and all of that is so literal and so... It all already speaks of the kind of thing that's gonna blow out early. Like,
well, yeah.
Endurance is not built into any aspect of her making, I guess.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's really not.
Whereas...
like I said, I don't know why that was catching at me. It's just something that, like, because you would expect them to all be relatively even. The same-ish.
Yeah.
Well, like Kyoko's wish was fairly similar in that sense, so her power being better is, like, it doesn't really correlate in that sense, but Kyoko has pragmatism, which...
Kyoko has pragmatism, which is a superpower, as we all know.
But it does slow down despair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a way to deal with despair.
I'm just saying, I'm actually not joking. I'm laughing, but I'm not joking. Pragmatism is kind of a superpower.
It is. And it's like, why? Because, like, that's the question that I feel like got asked the moment this whole dynamic got explained, is like, okay, then why is Kyoko, like, a fabulous bitch, not already a witch? Like, how come she hasn't already despaired when she's just stomping around being the Asuka of Madoka, being all, I'm done with it, y'all suck. I'm just here to get food and get the fuck out, like, but she hasn't despaired because she's got pragmatism armor made out of horse shit, because that's what you build it out of, truly.
It's true.
She is a lot more easygoing than Sayaka ever is.
Yes. Yeah. But that is not hard.
No, that's true too.
Speaking of her being easygoing,
she's sitting there like choking my Homura.
Absolutely disproves being easygoing when she grabs Homura.
When she's pissed, that's different.
Yeah, I know. And accuses her of being a gigantic bitch, which is true, but, I mean, I can totally understand why Homura is being such a bitch, because, well, we know now she's seen this a bunch of times. We've been running on that assumption for a while now.
Yeah,
but,
and she even, when Kyoko accuses her of that, she doesn't look very happy to hear it. Like, she knows that she's right, but, you know, it's nothing that she can really do about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if, like you were saying, Sayaka becomes a witch in every timeline that she becomes a magical girl, then...
Homura is just like, this is filler. This moment is filler in my story arc.
As far as she's concerned.
Yeah, I just get me the fuck out of here. I've got shit to do. Because this is all, she's seen this before so many times that really what point is there it being having any emotional range at that moment? She's probably tried that already.
Yeah.
Probably didn't work.
Yeah, so after Homer is like, listen, if you're going to carry that body around, it's your responsibility. And then she just like walks off. Like, don't get in trouble with the cops. Kind of thing.
I mean, to be fair, I don't
wrong.
think it's a mean assumption to assume Kyoko can probably deal with that.
Oh, that's true. That's true. She does, like, live on the street and steal everything that she needs.
Pretty much. Kyoko is especially capable of hiding a body out of this group, I think.
Yeah, out of any of them, that would be... Well, I don't know. Homura would also be pretty capable of hiding a body.
Yeah, but her approach would be the, like, you know, go in a lab and figure out how to, like, acid burn away all the tissue, and Kyoko would be, like, meat grinder near the Italian restaurant.
Yeah, I guess so.
Meet me behind the gas station at 3 a.m. and bring shovels. I'm going to help you with
this.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, later that night, we see that Madoka has returned home, and she is, really depressed. She's kind of just sitting on her bed, and Kyuubey shows up, and he's like, hey, can I come in? And, she's like, oh, you didn't die. And, no, he didn't. And she asks him, is what Homer told us true? And Kyuubey basically says yes in his roundabout, avoidant kind of way. Madoka is like, so you've just been using us? Like, why? And Kyuubey starts to explain. He says that, listen, we don't actually have any ill will towards humans, but we're doing this because we want to prolong the life of the universe, is basically what he says. He basically says that, like entropy, like the heat death of the universe will happen far, far in the future, even if it's billions of years from now. And basically, by turning soul gems into grief seeds, that creates a type of energy that counteracts the loss of energy by entropy. And he said that this is a little bit crazy, but basically his species created technology that converts emotions into energy. I'd love to know what kind of technology that is.
Yeah. I don't know, the same thing in Escaflowne, I'm guessing.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know, it makes perfect sense to me, given that his species doesn't have emotions.
Right, he mentions
think of
that.
them just as a different, different physical resource to work with.
Right. He mentions that his race doesn't really experience emotions. So they searched the universe for a good guinea pig, and they found Earth. And they found that the energy created by humans when they're alive is greater than the energy that it takes for them to, like, their bodies to stay alive. So by turning that emotion into energy, it makes up for the heat death of the universe.
Okay, so according to the law of conservation of energy, sorry, but like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever for something to be able to create more energy than, like, because that works literally against... Okay.
Clearly what they mean is that the energy transferred into heat, because that is what it is, it's not destroyed, it's just transferred into heat, which isn't really usable in very relevant a way.
Yeah.
Grief seed transformation creates something that changes the heat back into other forms of usable energy.
Oh, I like that, actually. That would make sense.
Momentum.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense than it creating energy on its own.
Yeah, it doesn't create energy, all it's doing is it's recycling the heat.
Or maybe it is creating energy, and this is just squishy magic stuff.
Or it's squishy magic stuff.
Yeah. I'm just...
This is a very Akio explanation of entropy that he just gave us. So.
If you throw pseudoscientific shit at me, I'm gonna throw it back. That's all.
Please do. But
yeah.
I mean, this is a point of criticism. Like, this is not how entropy works. But whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is a good excuse to make the story work. I love that
this is our biggest criticism of the show so far, though.
This isn't a criticism to me.
No,
I'm
not
fine.
really.
I'm fine with this.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, what else have we actually had to criticize except for, like, the kind of character blindness in the first two episodes?
I bitched because they kept using that one shot too much.
Oh, well, yeah,
but
there's that too.
I think that's just sort of a thing. I do like that Kyuubey, who presumably looks like that all the time, unless he's got a fuckboy
like
form,
that all
like
the time. Wow,
or something.
What a sick
like
burn.
He looks like a uterus, and they show up and they go, "Hey, the most powerful force in the universe is a uterus acting up."
I'm still trying to unwind the subtext on that one, actually. The whole idea of Kyuubey being designed after a uterus and then also, like, dictating the lives of these little girls.
Was that ever confirmed in an interview, or is that just, like, widely accepted, like, fan symbolism?
I don't know, because
calling him an incubator.
Calling him an incubator, plus the fact that his
ears
little
look
ears
like
are
fallopian tubes.
Yeah, and the soul gems are eggs.
Gems are eggs. And he's got these death eyes staring you down, which is definitely how I feel about my uterus. It's constantly glaring me down bitterly.
I mean, it's true.
I don't know, but even if he didn't confirm it, I really would struggle to be like, oh yeah, no, this is totally an accident that his design looks like a uterus and fallopian tubes. I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
If that was accidental, that was the most Freudian accident in recorded history.
Yeah.
It probably
Which is also
it probably was not accidental. Really. I was just asking if you guys knew whether that was
No, I haven't heard of it. I've been like, we can't look, so
yeah. True. So basically Kyuubey says, we've discovered that young girls, females in the second stage of development, are the best source of energy because their emotions fluctuate so intensely that it's easy for us to farm energy off of them, basically.
Thanks, Kyuubey.
Yeah, what I love about this is that, like, energy is such a trope in magical girl shows. Like, the bad guys needing to get, like, farm something from people. Like, and definitely in Sailor Moon. But, I feel like that's also, like, I know in Princess Tutu, she's trying to collect one character's emotions. So this is, like, a very, this is definitely him playing with some magical girl tropes here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's basically the same as the usual, the power of girls defeats everything.
Right.
This is the power of puberty-stricken hormonal girls literally defeats entropy.
Yeah.
like it's just that, it's the same idea taken to such a ludicrous degree.
Now I'm picturing that, like, Uncle Sam needs you poster.
The universe needs you to combat entropy.
I'm sure that there's a Kyuubey edit of that.
Yeah.
Sure
I don't know, but I've definitely seen Kyuubey Gendos. Which is a yikes.
So Madoka accuses him of seeing humans as disposable and not caring. And
I mean, true.
But Kyuubey says, listen, think of how many other civilizations there are in the universe. In the long term, what you're doing is saving all of these people in the long term. And he thinks that, they approach the humans fairly by trading them wishes and making contracts and getting their permission first. And then Madoka's like, no, you tricked me. You tricked us. That's not being fair. And Kyuubey just doesn't understand the concept of, like, an unfair bargain or the concept of tricking somebody.
I'm gonna nitpick that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to understand the concept of tricking somebody.
Yeah.
But what shouldn't be easy for him is the fact that humans resent it.
Yeah, I think that's more what he means by that. Like, he says, why is it that when humans regret a decision they made based on their own misunderstanding, they feel resentment towards the other party?
Let the buyer beware.
Yeah. And, we've got some consumer protection laws to protect us from that exact kind of thinking. Yeah. Kyuubey, he just doesn't understand why, in the big picture, with 7 billion people on Earth, why humans would care about losing a little tiny handful of them. And
I mean,
Kyuubey did nothing wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
from his point of view, he did nothing wrong, but I have severe moral and philosophical qualms about this.
My complaint is that they did the whole my species doesn't really experience emotion. No, fuck you, that's a cop-out. Because that makes the difficulty of what he's doing irrelevant.
Right.
When I would have enjoyed it more if he knew that it was something that was a wrong perpetuated on individuals for the greater good of all.
Right.
Which I still think would have been justifiable. Like, from where he's standing, I get it. This makes sense. Like,
From where he's standing, yeah, but it seems to me that Kyuubey also has a severely underdeveloped moral code.
Yes.
Thank you.
Preventing heat death of the universe is a fairly noble cause.
Yeah.
Sam
regardless
disagrees.
of how many dumb schoolgirls you have to mow through.
Yeah, but there's a better way to go about that.
Here's the thing that I find amusing about it. Is frankly,
Hang on.
he's
I'm
really
gonna go
pissed about it. Yeah, go put him away.
Yeah.
Aww. Bye, Sam.
I don't think it would really have been that hard for a more emotionally sensitive Kyuubey, for example, to actually get girls to agree to this, knowing entirely what happens.
And, yeah, actually, I think that, assuming we ever get to the manga version of the anime does present Kyuubey as being a little bit more emotionally aware of what's going on.
Yeah, because I could definitely see, like, frankly, I don't think you would really lack for people who would make a wish knowing that they were going to turn into some monster at the end, but they weren't really going to be aware of it because they were just going to lose their entire identity anyway.
I mean, like, I probably would have taken that.
Yeah.
I would have done that.
Same.
Because I can't think of anybody more suicidal than that age group.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you would have just been, like, you know, banking on a different emotional set, but you still could have gotten the same result with full disclosure.
No, you could have just straight up gone with it, because it says the fluctuations between hope and despair.
Yeah.
You're just going for the despair end of things at that point.
Yeah.
Which is more honest.
True, but you need to start with hope. Otherwise, because it's the transition from one to the other that creates all the energy.
I think it's the big divide between them with teenage girls specifically that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were already a miserable twat in the first place, you wouldn't have created much of a witch, I guess. I'm talking
we would be
specifically
a terrible,
about you.
Yeah. Terrible witch.
So, Madoka does not buy any of this from Kyuubey. She's not having it. She says, you know, if that's really how you feel about what you're doing, then incubators are definitely our enemies. And Kyuubey just doesn't really care. He says, you know, well, I believe that you are going to be a magical someday, and then when you do, you'll be the most powerful magical girl, and then as a result, you'll be the worst witch that ever lived, and we'll get tons of energy. So that's fine. I don't care if you don't like it. Is basically what he says.
Damn.
I mean, I wouldn't either if I was him.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, at this point, I think he's like, yeah, no, I got this.
Yeah. He has a great line. If you ever feel like dying for the sake of the universe, call me. I'll be waiting.
Like, dude.
Well,
that is a thing, that line. But this scene was like, there was a lot in this scene that kind of built up on stuff that I've mentioned before. Like, I've mentioned before that I really like this convention this show has of having a static shot from farther away that they keep returning to, and then, like, close-ups with really intricate shifts in, like, expression or the movement of a head or something like that, but then it cuts right back to the original master where that movement never happened.
Right.
And they do that with Madoka, like, several times here, where she'll, like, look up, but then you cut right back and she's still looking down again, and it has that disjointed, you know, reactions versus actual physical, what you're doing kind of thing that I really like. Also, fucking chair watch, Jesus
Seriously, Christ. I saw this and I was like, okay, maybe my theory from last episode was not correct. Because I feel like this wouldn't have been a scene that happened in very many timelines. And yet, look at all these goddamn chairs. They're everywhere.
And they become occupied.
Yeah. For the first time we see the chairs occupied.
Because they start out empty, and then all of a sudden all of her toys are in them.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know.
I mean,
it is definitely voyeurism, so maybe it's just voyeurism symbolism here. But
maybe, but the fact that we finally saw occupants in the chairs, that just doubles right down on that. So whatever it is the chairs are saying in every single point before this, it is increased many, many fold at this point.
Yeah.
So what I would be looking for then is going back to whatever scenes that the chairs are in and seeing if there's a common thread in them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they seem to crop up in really important scenes. So which is why I had that idea, like, oh, maybe it's because these are scenes that are likely to happen like over and over again. But this is easily the most chairs in any scene that we've had so far.
Yeah.
So
it's like there's more chairs than actually fit in the damn room.
Yeah, there's like 10 or there's like a dozen chairs in this scene. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to think about that a little longer.
Yeah.
Like,
if it is the voyeurism thing and it's supposed to be symbolic of like the audience watching, that they show up here is very like, oh, this is what you're here for, is the
suffering.
Yeah, the magical girl torture porn. This is what you were here for. This is what you like, right? Are you having fun? You fucks?
That's kind of how I feel about it. I didn't really have anything to back it up, but I've always kind of felt that all of the voyeurism stuff in it is a way of directly addressing the viewer. And I'm not sure whether that's true or not, but I'm gonna run with it, because why not?
Yeah.
But
do the chairs consistently show up where Kyuubey is?
No.
Not always. No, because that's right, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't, because they're in Kyosuke's hospital.
That's right. And then that first set of shots, Kyuubey's not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like, in this scene, I was almost like, is this,
episode.
like, his... Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Kyuubey's not in her mom's room.
Well.
Well, I mean, her uterus is. Does this mean we should, like, be suspicious?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Yeah, like, the chairs are definitely a thing. Because this is super weird at this point.
Like, the only thing that I can come up with is just, for one, that putting anything in the chairs is, like, that's not even, like, I'm doubling the amount of emphasis I want to put on this. This is, like, I'm 1,000,000 times the amount of emphasis that
you know what I'm, like, almost, like, wondering, because feed Oscar a little. Mm-hmm. Like, in the Black Rose arc in Newton, there's, like, a scene everyone likes to talk about where at one point there's a finger pointing at a bunch of cats and random things around the room, and it's a blinking finger, and it has a sound effect, and it just fucks around, and it's ridiculous. And Ikuhara has been asked 8 billion times, what's the finger about? And aside from it being a reference to a film from before, he literally basically says, oh, that's just pointing at things that I thought were important. And they were like, in what way? And he's like, no, that's just though I was pointing at things I thought were important. And that's like literally it. That's as far as he thought it, and I genuinely believe that's as far as he thought it.
Yeah.
It's like, this probably seems relevant, put the pointy finger here. And I'm kind of wondering if the chairs are kind of the same thing, where it's not so much a super thought out, elaborate, thing as...
That's true for any of our deep analysis here, right? It's possible that none of that was that deeply thought out, but, you know.
Yeah.
On some level, though, there's gotta be some logic to it. And on Ikuhara's level, there's definitely logic to it. Yeah. Because, I mean, Claire wrote a whole essay about that.
No, I mean, there is a logic to it, but it wasn't necessarily thought out by the
exactly.
Like,
also, like Ikuhara, like, I don't believe him when he says, like, it means nothing.
No,
he's always been very cagey about people trying to ask him directly what some of that stuff means.
It's true.
Yeah,
that actually is one thing I don't think he's ever said, is that it means nothing.
Well, not that it
he'll give you a bullshit answer.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Bullshit answer.
He'll give you a totally bullshit answer.
Yeah, but he never tells you that it doesn't have any meaning, because he wants you to think of the meaning for it. But, like, the closest thing I can come up with to a meaning for the chairs is just pay attention.
Yeah, like, it's just, this is what you're all here for.
And that's the kind of message that kind of surrealism gets across better than anything else. Yeah. It's just that very short, sharp, brief, like, emotional burst.
Well, the moment you're looking at all these chairs and going, what the fuck is with these chairs, you're thinking specifically about this scene in exclusion to others.
Yeah.
So it's already served the purpose of making you engage more with this scene than ones previous.
Right.
Which, like, clearly isn't necessary because the emotional, like, weight of the scene is pretty good on its own. Like, it doesn't really need help.
It is,
but it's surrealist, weird anime, so they're gonna help anyway, I guess.
Yeah, but, like, I'm trying to figure out how to articulate this. You wouldn't waste frames on that for no reason. Mm-hmm. And, like, yeah, it looks cool, and that is a reason, but I'm still gonna give Madoka more credit.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that whatever underlying logic there doesn't necessarily have to make exact and perfect thought out sense, but as long as it has that emotional,
like an consistency, intuitive quality
that pulls you in. And I do think that is kind of pay attention.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where that's going.
I'm curious how many more chairs we're going to see.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if because this seems like the culmination of it, so I'm not sure if we're going to see more at all.
Well, let's put a pin on that. We got to move on from the chairs, guys.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, all right, chair talk is over.
Yeah. Sorry, but chair talk was a big thing.
Yeah,
okay?
It was.
It was. And then we cut to Kyoko in a hotel room, I guess, because, she lives it rough. What an icon. She's using her soul gem. She's very resourceful with her soul gem. I like that. She's keeping Sayaka's body warm and undecomposed, which is a giant waste of energy. So Kyuubey shows up and asks her why she's bothering, thinks it's kind of stupid. She sits down and has just piles of presumably stolen food, although it's in bags. Like, why would you bag stolen? Anyway.
Maybe she's paying for her food now.
Ooh, that would be. She used her soul gem to create money.
She used her soul gem to create money.
Which, yes. But she's eating and eating and eating, which is clearly, like, how she handles stress and agitation.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking mood, I guess. But she's trying to figure out from Kyuubey whether you could return Sayaka to her body, whether you could get her soul gem back. And he says no, there's no precedent for it. I mean, it's theoretically possible, but nobody's done it. And she gets very like, I didn't need your help anyway.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to hear no. She heard it isn't impossible in the sense that I've seen it not work, but clearly he's being cagey about that. Like, I don't think he's honestly saying, oh no, we would never know. Like, he's clearly saying that knowing it's going to make her go do something stupid. So while he's not a species that experiences emotion, he's very
which we find out to be the case later anyway. Like, he told her that on purpose.
Yeah. He's totally goading her into doing some dumb shit.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell she's going to do some dumb shit because she keeps eating, and I feel like that whole, like, thing where she's just shoveling food aggressively and angrily into her mouth is kind of her, like, chairs. It's her cue that she's acting rashly.
Yeah.
So
that's what she did when Sayaka stomped away and then the chair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was how she coped with, like, being frustrated, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So Kyoko's gonna go do a stupid,
because Kyoko gonna Kyoko. I mean,
she's a sweet girl.
She's a good girl.
They're
okay?
all
She
good
just
girls.
definitely wants to shovel some more of that food in before she goes.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is fair, because that's literally what we're gonna do in Japan. Us going into the airport, shoveling like taiyaki and shit into our mouths, like, no.
Yep.
Get as much in before you die.
That's how that's gonna happen. Oh, and then we cut to Madoka walking to school with Hitomi, and Hitomi tries to have an emotional conversation with her, sort of. Things are strange. Things between her and Sayaka have been awkward. She notes that Sayaka is not in school today. Maybe we should go see her later. And no. Because Kyoko shows up and Madoka basically is like, nope, sorry. Okay, bye. Sorry, I'm not feeling well either. peace out.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Kyoko's like, are you really going to go to school today after what happened yesterday?
Like, are you out of your damn mind?
Yeah. Yep.
That is an attempt at normalcy for people that go to school instead of eat food.
Sort of.
I guess.
But yeah, so they... Madoka and Kyoko meet up in an alleyway, it looks like. Somewhere near Homura's house? I don't know.
It
Something
does
about
look,
the architecture.
It does look possibly
Yeah.
in that neighborhood.
Because you've got that weird architecture. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And we've got those
Wind
mermaid
chimes.
wind chimes and a unicorn set of wind chimes, which is really interesting because we don't know who the unicorn is. The mermaid is Sayaka.
So there are canon versions of all the other girls' witch forms.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know if you guys want me to spoil those or not, but
yeah, you might as well, as long as it's something that's not going to show up in any of the media.
As far as I know, it is from the PSP game.
We're never gonna play the PSP
unicorn
game.
one?
I don't have a PSP.
Even if we do ever play that, I don't think it's gonna ruin our experience for me to just tell you what her witch form is like. Alright, let me find...
Oh, is that Kyoko's witch form?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, you
No, I'm just guessing, if there
Yeah.
must have been continuities where she became a witch as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, the PSP game, I think, is like a choose your own adventure kind of game where with multiple timelines. So in some of those timelines, all of them end up turning into witches. So you have to make witch forms for those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Kyoko's witch form is called Ophelia.
Oh.
And I'll send you the page, but it is horse related.
Okay.
So, considering what's going on here, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that the unicorn might be meant to represent Kyoko.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
Abandonment, too.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, though. Because, part of... I do think some of Kyoko's, interest in Sayaka is, genuinely because she connects to her in some way.
Yeah.
But I think there's also the whole, I see myself in her, and she just turned into a fucking monster.
Yeah.
And there is, a bit of that fear and that self-preservation instinct that's driving her at this point, because she has to believe that Sayaka can come back, because... otherwise, what is there for her? And I think that kind of ends up being what's on her mind when she does what she does later.
Yeah, she says that Sayaka, inspired her to remember these stories of justice that made her want to become a magical girl in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, she decides that she's going to try and rescue Sayaka by reminding her of what it's like to be human by using Madoka to call out to her, and hopefully she'll remember her voice. And I don't know.
The way
I honestly,
the
the logic falls apart long
it's
before
not
you get
supposed
to that
She's
point.
literally saying, this is an anime logic moment, because I liked anime as a kid.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, it is. It is wishful thinking. Actually, when we first had seen it, it surprised the hell out of me that they were even going to make the attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Because it just didn't seem like a thing that could happen.
Kyoko wanted to try.
Yeah.
She thought it was worth trying.
And also I think there's a sense of this is the thing nobody's tried yet, kind of. Kyoko's willing to throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. And I think
I'm not criticizing her decision. I think it was worth it.
Yeah.
It's just that it honestly had not... For all the shit that I talked about, I think the girls are witches, etc., way back when, it never occurred to me that at all, that there could be a way back from that, so much that I was like, wait, what? I never even thought of this.
I think of the witches by the same rules as I think of, Utena shit, in the sense of, you can go in one direction, but you can't go in the other, because in both cases, this is a kind of a metaphor for maturity and for puberty and for growing up not well, obviously, because either you become Utena or you become Akio, and Akio would be like the worst witch. But it's the same kind of like, you can go forward, but you can't go back, and because they equate them with like a puberty sort of thing, it doesn't occur to me that the witches can go back, because that would be going back in time.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
I mean, and I agree with you. It does make sense as a puberty kind of thing, because that's a similar thing. Like, you can't go back from the hormonal changes that happen to you when that starts,
especially
at that age.
But how you deal with that process and how that process affects you and what kind of support is in place in that process, does kind of write the framework of the rest of your life. It is a very, like, negative, I don't know if it's a necessarily healthy perspective to be like, if this is how this turned out, you cannot change ever. That's very dark.
True. That's true. But maybe what I meant is like returning back to childhood after you feel like, oh, I don't want to. Yeah. I actually don't like this after all. I'm gonna go back to being 10 years old. Like, you can't do that. But it's
I did.
It's wishful.
Sorry, I had to.
Mentally 10 and being actually 10 are two different things. But it is a very, like, childish, wishful thinking fairy tale kind of idea to be like, well, can't we just heal her with the power of love?
Yeah, it's super childish, but it's also kind of cute.
Yeah,
it is kind of cute, and that kind of stuff is supposed to work.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is this is playing by magical girl rules, which, from what I understand, that works at times. Yeah. So Kyoko, who clearly grew up watching Sailor Moon and things like that, is not coming from a place of, like, this came out of nowhere. She's thinking of it as, like, a fairy story or a fantasy, or she's like, well, this works in anime, and maybe this is kind of like an anime, since I have really cool hair and never get fat, no matter how much I eat.
And this is more of, like, how you can see how someone who's smart and pragmatic like Hitomi doesn't get preyed on. But someone who seems smart and pragmatic like Kyoko does still have a weakness for that kind of, like, nudging by Kyuubey, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a mistake that she also looks the most anime. Like, she's just anime as fuck with her, like, hair.
And her little tooth.
Yeah, and her little tooth and her eyes. Like, she looks like someone who was into anime. Yeah. And decided she was gonna have that aesthetic within the confines of an actual anime. It's very, I like it. Anyway.
So Madoka agrees to help her, and Kyoko introduces herself with a tasty bar.
Yes.
Yay.
Umai-bon.
That is really cute, though. I love that she shares food, because that's honestly, like, one of the... I mean, throughout all of human history, sharing food has been, like, just such a resonant kind of act, where if you share food with somebody, then, you know...
You're showing care for them, and
but you know what? This is, like, a direct contrast to what happens with Sayaka.
Right.
And it shows that Madoka has that kind of moral flexibility.
That's what
and
I mean. Like, it's like, sharing food with somebody is almost like a meeting of minds.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
And there's a certain amount of trust in that. Like, there's a lot of stuff about guests and hosts and that kind of thing in medieval literature. There's a lot of stuff about breaking bread and having salt on the table and that kind of thing that's just really, like, and it's something that is almost kind of innate to us, I think, just because
it's a set of rules that just feel...
It's so universal.
I was actually reading, like, this is crazy that this is coming up, because I was actually reading earlier today about how, so this is maybe a major cul-de-sac for us to get stuck in, but I'll just go for it. So you know how, so chimpanzees worldwide have different, have cultural behaviors that get passed down through generations. So there will be, like, one foraging method that's present in this chimpanzee population, but this geographically separate chimpanzee population doesn't do that same foraging technique, even though they could. They have all the tools and the same prey that they could go for, but they don't do the same thing. So scientists basically assume that one chimpanzee figured it out in that population, and then shared, and then taught basically the other chimpanzees, and then the generations after that just kept doing it. So it was like a cultural like a custom or a tradition or something that they knew how to do just from experience.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I was reading about in that article was that it was talking about a group of isolated chimpanzees that had figured out how to smash open a turtle the same way you could smash open a coconut shell and then get at the turtle meat. And apparently for the chimpanzees that aren't strong enough to smash the turtles, they bring it to a larger chimpanzee who does it for them, and then they share the turtle. Yeah. So
because one did the work of catching the turtle and the other does the work of
exactly. And apparently, the article pointed out that sharing is not one of those cultural traditions. Every single population of chimpanzees shares food with each other. So, like you were saying, that is an innate behavior that we have. Like that's pro-social behavior. You know.
It's pro-social in the sense that it is completely intuitive to work out that more people get more food if you share it.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if those chimpanzees with more sharing behaviors became more intelligent faster because they theorized that social connections are what caused our big brains.
Social connection and the availability of more.
But that's way deeper into that hole than we need to go.
All I'm going to say about that is I would love to see one of those chimpanzees run for president in 2020 on the Democratic ticket. Bring some real.
Yes, because then we could share food.
Now we could like actually have someone worth a shit. Anyway.
Yeah. But anyway,
that is,
so
what I like about that though is like, you know, she offers this apple to Sayaka, and Sayaka says, "I can't eat this because you stole it." So and that's like such a like signal of her moral rigidity, is her need to adhere to that principle superseded any connection she might have created with Kyoko in that moment, whereas Madoka doesn't even think to ask that. To her, it's not relevant whether she stole that or not. What's relevant is that it's hers right now.
Yeah.
And she's willing to share it.
Right.
And I like that because I feel like that puts Madoka on a much higher ground, personally.
Yeah.
But it also is much more relatable to me. Like,
it's more relatable and it's more just
human,
trusting, forgiving.
Yeah. Like if you needed the food and you stole the food, but you're willing to share the food,
that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I like how that contrasts, you know, how it went.
Madoka cares about outcomes. She really doesn't care about people's intentions or like the purity of their motivations.
Yeah.
None of that has ever bothered her.
Which I like.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You go.
Oh my god, I think this is the first time I've ever heard you say something nice about a protagonist, Fauna.
Okay.
Wow.
Look, I like food. Okay? I like food.
I like food, she says.
So at sundown, so we should say that Homura noticed that Madoka was not at school.
Yes. Yeah, and so she goes to follow her, obviously.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that matters to Homura.
The only thing that matters to Homura is whatever Madoka's up to.
Yep.
So at sundown, Madoka and Kyoko are out searching for Sayaka. And I'm pretty sure they're walking underneath a bridge. It's like an overpass.
It does look like it, yeah.
So I think this counts as a bridge for Bridge Watch.
Bridge Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They're crossing over.
Yeah, so Madoka's like, do you think Homura would want to help us? And Kyoko says, no, it doesn't sound like her kind of thing. We're not really friends. We really only teamed up to beat Walpurgis Nacht. So Madoka learns about Walpurgis Nacht here. And, you know, it's an insanely powerful witch that's on its way, and it can't be killed by one person. So we teamed up to be able to take it out, essentially. We're not friends, though. Yeah.
No homo.
Yeah. So I think eventually, as they're wandering under this bridge, they wander into what looks like another industrial area or a construction site or something, and they pick up on the magic trail for Octavia/Sayaka.
What's the name of that thing she's eating? Because they're fucking tasty, and I can't wait to eat those.
Dango.
Yeah, dango.
It's the same food that Sailor Moon's little buns are named after in Japanese.
Ah, okay. Oh, we get to see her transformation for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, her full one.
Yay.
So,
I love seeing those things.
Yeah, and like, Kyoko's like, alright, you're really gonna come in here with me? And Madoka says, yeah, it's actually, I've been in here in witch barriers lots of times at this point.
Yeah, at this point, Madoka's like, eh.
Actually, Kyoko has such a cute look on her face at that point. She's, like, pleasantly surprised by this.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
It's cute.
I absolutely love the hallway with the posters. Like, it's just
Yeah.
That's
and,
a good way to enter that labyrinth.
Yeah,
the posters and stuff, I'm assuming, well, I don't even know if I can assume. Like, I mean, clearly the figure in the spotlight is a reference to Kyosuke, but it also occurs to me that this could be posters of her minions or something.
Yeah.
Well, her minions are the players and the conductor.
Yeah, but there's the one player singled out, but there isn't one, which is why I'm saying that's gotta be Kyosuke.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing with the wings, like the blackness looming around beneath him kind of thing is very, like...
Yeah.
So as they're walking down this brick hallway, Madoka still feels bad that she's not really helping. And Kyoko, like, just straight up calls her out, like, listen, I don't understand why you'd want to do this in the first place. And if you get to have a happy life and you're eating good food and everything's great, you got your family, why would you even think of doing this? And then she's like...
Which is a fair point.
Yeah, she's like, I'd kick your butt before I let you do that. Which is cute.
Everyone's like, protect this little angel.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how that would go down, though.
It is.
Like, I don't know, there's a lot that's made of, like, mean girls and all of that kind of thing, but generally speaking, as long as girls have a shared purpose, they're usually not too mean to each other.
It's the lack of a shared purpose that tends to be the problem.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting that these seats are all empty, like...
Well, Sayaka's the only one who matters.
Yeah.
So we're seeing Sayaka in the auditorium at this point, and we've got all of these empty seats around her, and she is a gigantic, huge mermaid-looking...
Armored mermaid.
I'm still trying to figure out what that is on the top of her head, though.
I think it's, like, part of a helmet.
You get another close look. You get another close look at it again.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's very masculine looking, honestly. Like, there's kind of a butch look about it, which, I mean...
that fits.
She didn't have the short hair and the armor, I guess. But no, I like that they all have to perform for her, which is, oh boy, is that like basically the end result of her whole shit with Kyosuke, because she just wanted him for herself.
Yeah.
Didn't get him, so now she's like, you all play for me instead, you fucks.
Yeah, so that thing on her head, it looks like maybe a crown, and she's got like a big collar around her helmet that's like heart-shaped.
Yeah, like those kind of Elizabethan-looking thingies.
That's a cool witch. I love her.
Yeah, and she's got the wheels that she's throwing at them because of the train.
What is up with these wheels? The only thing I could think of maybe is that this is a reference to, like, the Wheel of Fortune in tarot. Do you guys know anything about that card in tarot?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not
we took it to be the
negative.
train track.
Yeah, I was
because,
like,
her first big, blow up was on the train, so... Yeah. And from what I understand, like, someone mentioned in the Discord that there's other train imagery in here somewhere, but I might not have caught it.
There's train tracks on the ground.
Oh, yeah. But I don't remember if I saw any actual train or anything.
I don't think you see the train.
At the very beginning of the episode, when Kyoko first gets dragged in, there's tons of trains all over the place.
Yeah.
And even, like, the face of her witch, like, now that I'm looking at it, has, like, a very mechanical look about it, like it's the face of a train or something almost. Like, kind of weird.
Yeah, but I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah, so I think that's where the wheels come from.
It's like train-flavored imagery.
Yeah, well, a lot of the Witch Labyrinths do that, where they juggle a couple different sets of, like, with the candy and the hospital stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what you're seeing here, is the mermaid stuff is, like, the manifestation of her actual motives, and the mermaid, same with the music.
Or the music would be the manifestation of her actual...
But the train tracks are where she fell.
I wonder if you could theorize that is true for all witches, whether they have the reason that they fell and then the place that they fell.
Yeah, because that would make sense in the hospital, because the hospital. Yeah,
Charlotte fell in the hospital. The first witch, what was her name? Gertrude.
Gertrude.
She was very like garden-y. Like lots of gardens, so maybe she turned into a witch in a park or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
that's just I don't know, like it's an idle thought, but I wonder if it wouldn't prove true, because mainly because I'm thinking like the writers have to make up the backstories for the witches.
Yeah.
So there's gotta be some kind of formula that you can convey to somebody.
Yeah.
So that they can design the look of these witches and the look of their labyrinths without too much guidance necessary, I guess. So I wonder if that wasn't the kind of thing that they would have said.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it's almost like they're distinguishing between the pile of straw and the last straw.
Yeah.
Which, is worth doing because there's always that one last straw. And in poor Sayaka's case, it happened on the train with those fucking douchebags.
I mean,
it's coming to them, okay?
So, Madoka, while this is happening, Octavia is attacking them with wheels. Madoka tries calling out to her.
She's attacking Kyoko with the wheels.
Yeah, and Kyoko's also making a barrier to defend Madoka while she tries to talk to her.
Yeah.
They're not winning. Kyoko's getting hit by these wheels. And Kyoko has a moment where we're hearing her inner monologue while she's fighting. And, she's thinking to herself, like, isn't this ironic? Didn't we start fighting this exact same way? I thought you were a total weakling, but no matter what I did, you just got back up after I hit you. So you must be mad, and I can understand how you feel. It's okay. I just want you to come back to us. Like, she's quietly, like, kind of trying to do the same thing that Madoka's doing. Yeah. Still not working.
It's not going well.
It's not working. So Sayaka grabs Madoka. She's basically about to crush her to death, and Kyoko has no choice but to cut the witch's hand off. I think Kyoko might be realizing here that this is not going to work, because she gets a little angry. She's like, what are you doing?
I like that her reaction to this isn't going to work, isn't her despairing so much as like, God damn it!
Yeah.
She's angry it didn't work. And I do love that, like, they spill through the floor. Like, they break the ground, and now it's this whole, like, blue inverted sphere thing that they're doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out the logistics.
And then you see, well, it's like you fell through the floor, and now you can see her full form because her tail was under the floor.
Yeah, and remember when H and
you
Ellie's
broke the surface
labyrinth was like a big sphere?
Yes,
this is kind of
this is also a big sphere.
Like a big sphere.
This is also a big sphere. I'm just trying to figure out where
it is because you had the top, and the top was round, and now you're at the bottom, but it flipped over like an hourglass. So, like, you went through the floor, and then you saw everything kind of invert, and, like, the chairs are upside down now, and going across the ceiling the same way, so...
Yeah.
It flipped everything over so that you could see what was going on in a normal way, but they're, like, sort of upside down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Homura shows up. She catches Madoka as she's falling.
Because that's what's important.
Yeah. And Kyoko tells her to just take Madoka and leave. Homura looks upset to me. She's not being empty and cold here. She honestly looks worried. I think she knows what's going to happen here.
Yeah. And it does not help her life any.
Yeah. And
no. Well, I mean, she loses a potential ally for Walpurgis now.
Yeah.
Like, she knew Sayaka was toast to begin with, but there are continuities where Kyoko makes it.
Yeah. So,
or at least as far as Walpurgis knocked. So this sucks for her.
Kyoko says, "You were right, Homura. You have to focus on one thing that means the most to you no matter what, and that's the only thing that can matter to you." And she takes some kind of, like, thing out of her hair bow. It looks like the thing that her dad's followers had on their chests in her flashback.
Yeah. With the gem not set in it this time, though. Yeah. And she's gonna set her gem in it.
And she summons a whole bunch of sweet-ass gigantic spears. And
it's metal.
She basically says a prayer, and she's like, it sucks to be alone, Sayaka, but it's okay, because I'm going to be here with you, and she basically explodes herself to kill the witch.
Yep.
And
that must have chapped Kyuubey's ass.
No, this is fine.
I mean, he's still waiting on Madoka, but still, if he doesn't get Madoka, then... Because at this point, she's refused him as far as he knows.
Well, this comes up later with Homura.
Yeah.
As Homura's walking away, she does not. She looks sad. Like, she doesn't look how she has normally reacted to all of this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and she kind of, like, goes off, and oh my god, them with their shadow, the way they use the shadows for Kyuubey in this show are just amazing.
Yeah.
And I love them.
Anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, so, presumably, Madoka's been taken somewhere safe. Kyoko's toast. And Homura is, like, moping in her baller-ass plotting house. And, like, she's got all of those maps, like, sitting on the table, and Kyuubey's shadow looms over the maps, and then you find out he's, like, standing, like, 10 feet away. And you're like, yeah, of course. But, was there any chance to save Sayaka that she asks? And Kyuubey's like, fuck no.
Yep.
No, there was never a chance, but this worked out for me. I do like that he says, I would have stopped her if her death had been needless. Because I do think, like, that's what I'm guessing, like, I think Urobuchi means when it's like, he's not a villain exactly. Like, he doesn't act out of malice. He doesn't act out of negligence.
Yeah.
It's just that for the goal he has, which he thinks of as a good goal, Kyoko biting it was helpful, so he didn't intervene.
No, I get that. It's just...
But it's still awful. But
yeah,
he's like, yeah, Kyoko's toast now, so now she has no choice. She has to become a magical girl.
He explains that... basically what you just said. Like I want Madoka because I know that Madoka's going to be a super powerful witch and I'm going to get tons of energy out of it. So really, if Kyoko dying means I get Madoka, it's the same. It's like net gain.
Yeah. Like it's a net gain for him. So I can kind of see what he's doing there. Homer, of course, is like, no, that's not gonna happen. I find it interesting that he's willing, like, he's clearly, despite having no emotional range, a high roller. Because he's willing to play his cards to lead to this one really big return.
Yeah.
Instead of just the steady trickle.
No, and
which is interesting.
Cool.
But,
But he's still a shithead.
Look, entropy is very bad.
Sorry, when I was saying earlier that wasting Kyoko that way must have chapped his ass, I was thinking of it in like a vacuum apart from Madoka.
No, like she would have been a good witch kind of thing too.
Yeah, like if she had not been a magical girl at all, or she had never been in the story or whatever, because that doesn't seem like Kyoko just kind of nuking herself like that doesn't seem like the kind of thing that he would normally approve of.
No, not at all.
No, normally not, but he's already got his eyes on.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their eyes on this other prize, and frankly, the people who have any important role here don't give two fucks about either of these two characters. So I'm not surprised this is a popular ship. Truthfully.
I mean, fair.
I didn't realize this was a duet. This ending song, though.
I think
between the two of them.
I think it's a duet between the two voice actors. I feel like somebody told me that, and I don't remember where I saw it, but
that's adorable.
Yeah,
but it is. You get a special ending for it.
Yeah,
because it's sad and shippy.
Is sad.
It is shippy.
It is definitely shipper food.
Yeah, so that was episode 9.
Yes.
And it was very good.
It was a good episode.
The calm before the storm.
Yes. Well, it's not actually, like, this is the escalate, like, it makes sense that the next episode is your recap episode because you can't do anything with the plot now that doesn't accelerate it.
Yeah.
So the next episode they kind of go back and do the background stuff because everything after this is going to be this huge escalation.
Yeah.
This shit is rolling downhill at this point.
It's gathering more shit to it.
So I would like now. So here's the Curious Cat question that was specifically for this episode. So it's 3 related questions from Anonymous. It says, first, Kyoko created for herself a selfish and grimly realistic persona that she tried to instill in Sayaka for the girl's own good. Did Kyoko die because the reverse happened instead? Where Sayaka's persona rubbed off on Kyoko. I mean, I think basically yes, right?
Yeah.
Basically yes, but you get the sense that had one not happened, the other wouldn't have happened either. So,
yeah. Like some of the like integrity aspect I think rubbed off on her a bit.
Yeah. She was willing to maybe acknowledge that she was using her magic to steal food, and it did require people to die. You know?
Yeah, I think like I could see it being where like some of the philosophy rubbed off on her. Rubbed off on her, but I don't know necessarily that she found any way to like live it.
Yeah.
It was almost like, well, I don't know what to do with this aside from perish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
like,
I
she
mean,
couldn't really.
The circumstances surrounding the whole thing necessitate that she can't live after she makes that
she admits, she's kind of admitting to herself that she's done wrong here, and that's
I definitely think so in that case, but I don't know that she has figured out any way to
Well, I mean, like,
deal
in
with
a
it
narrative
otherwise.
sense, her character has completed its arc at that point
Yeah.
and is no longer of any use. But also, in a moral sense, that's basically she's reached the highest morality she possibly can, and she's done. There's really nowhere else for her to go.
Yeah.
Realizing that you're not really a very moral person can be the high point of your moral arc if that's the kind of person you are.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I'm kind of wondering if it's a little bit like that. Like, I found this one thing I'm worth that I'm willing to die for, and I'd rather do that than become a fucking witch anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that goes into the next question here.
Mm-hmm.
Kyoko told Madoka a fairy tale fantasy of recovering Sayaka's soul gem from the witch. Did Kyoko go into that witch battle with 2 fairy tale endings already in her mind? One with the triumph of justice, and another with a romantic death and being together in eternity.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
I definitely think Kyoko knew this was potentially a suicide mission and was willing to live with that.
Yeah. She
Yeah.
was willing to
again,
just give it a try,
yeah.
and if it didn't work...
Well...
Yeah.
Sorry, I just clued in on the suicide mission and willing to live with that. More like willing to die with that.
But again, like, she knows what her fate is now, and she's pragmatic enough not to think she's going to get to game
this is
the
the
system
better
there.
of
She
two
knows.
fates. Yeah, she's still gaming the system,
Like,
too.
that's even why she does it the way she does, with, like, an active choice to go out of her way to destroy her gem.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
she wants
It's
to make
so
sure,
that she
like,
won't
this is...
become a witch.
Exactly. So in that sense, it's kind of like the scales are already tipped in favor of this, because what does she have aside from this? She could do this, she can maybe save Sayaka, in which case she could be saved, and that's great, or it's not going to work out, and Sayaka can't be saved, and then she can't be saved either, so fuck this!
Yeah.
And she just nopes out. So... And maybe there's also a component of it being like she's thinking, if I walk away from this, I will become a witch by making that decision. Like, I wonder if she's kind of thinking that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible at this point.
Yeah. The despair that I would experience walking away from Sayaka at this point intact would probably be sufficient to make me into a witch anyway, so it's better I die here.
Yeah.
And then the last question has to do with this song on the end credit. Oh, this is the person who told me it was a duet. So, they asked, do the lyrics of the song over the end credits mean that Kyoko actually did get her fairy tale ending of being with Sayaka in the afterlife? I mean, yeah. Like, we're not even really looking at the lyrics, but I don't think you need to look at the lyrics to say that that's probably what
Judging
happened
by
here.
the picture.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's following, like, end credits rules, and that it isn't necessarily canon.
Yeah.
But it is the nice thought. I don't know that I would say it's canon, though, but I have been trained after years of dealing with Utena shit.
Yeah.
If it's not right in the show, it's not text. Otherwise you have to deal with too much crap. But I'd like to think that. I'd like to think they're happy, somehow.
It would be really shitty if they weren't.
If anything could have theoretically, on some level, brought a witch back, it would be something like that.
Yeah.
Like, we are still in a magical girl anime, so... But you're not going to get to see it because it's not going to be something that physically manifests anymore. It's going to be something that's, like, the final moment, or, your afterlife, or, your soul has not been totally destroyed, or et cetera, et cetera. So, because you can't go back.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah, so one more curious cat question. Is Kyoko's true superpower swallowing her pride? Look at her huge ego and craving for respect, and how mad she gets being slapped down by Sayaka again and again. And yet she always takes a deep breath and comes back with kindness the next time they meet. That's a lot of pride to swallow, but she consistently does it.
That is a fucking superpower. I don't have that superpower.
No, I don't.
I can't speak to that. I have the opposite of that superpower.
Yeah, I don't have any pride to swallow, so I don't have that problem.
I don't swallow it. It just clings like a very heavy blanket. I don't know, like, that is true about her, and it doesn't really, like, entirely gel with her kind of larger-than-life badass persona. But, yeah, she does. Like, she never approaches anyone strictly, like, aggressive. Like, she approaches them aggressively in the sense that that's her personality, but every time she's, like, showing up below someone's window or something like that, she's usually trying to make peace in some way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who she used to be.
Yeah.
She
was a good Christian girl,
She
obviously.
was a good Christian girl or whatever analog is in this show. But basically, her dad's philosophy was all about, the hippie shit, like kindness and people helping each other and that kind of thing. And she truly believed in it. Yeah. So, I mean, that only makes sense for her to be like that underneath her aggressiveness.
If that's the kind of person you are, that you're always trying to help and you're always trying to reach a consensus and you're always trying to, like, extend the olive branch, it is not surprising that you would cultivate such a brash, I don't give a fuck persona to deal with the impending piles of rejection and not working that entails. Like...
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. Like, the harder you try to make things work, the more armor you're gonna need for when they don't.
Yes.
If your plan is to get back up and do it again. And that's why in part, I think why she lasts so long.
Yeah.
Whereas Sayaka has none of that and crashes and burns in, like, a day.
A couple days, basically.
Yeah. Does not take long. Whereas Kyoko has lasted a very long time, and it's clearly on the strength of that, soul armor, I guess.
All right, well, we should probably wrap it up because I know you guys need to get to something else tonight, if I remember right.
Yeah, we're streaming the Utena game on Fridays now.
Fun.
So, yeah, right, if you got some free time, pop in for that.
Yeah, shall we do our wishes and wrap up here?
All right. Sounds good.
My wish for this episode would be maybe getting to see Madoka and Kyoko talk a little bit longer. If I remember right, it seems like Madoka is about to ask Kyoko what her wish was, and then they start fighting the witch. So that could have been interesting.
Yeah, I would have been very curious to see what Madoka and Kyoko would have worked out.
Yeah,
Red and pink don't usually go together though.
Are you serious?
That's an Utena reference.
It's an Utena reference, but also those colors are terrible.
I think
not this red though, because it's a different red.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is a good wish. I would have liked to have seen more of that because I was very I enjoyed watching Madoka bounce off of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. All right. What about you guys?
Good wish. This is really hard because this episode was so good.
I know. It's I got everything I wanted in this episode.
I mean, the only thing that I can say for a wish is I wish they didn't get quite so pseudoscientific with it and let it be a little more mystical as well instead of trying to ground it in science, because I feel like when you do that too much, then you end up with Stephanie Meyer vampires.
Nope. I'm fine with this.
No.
Entropy is such a garbage, as a concept and how people understand it. Nobody actually
I know that. But if you do understand entropy, then it's
My wish is that Kyuubey had spent an hour talking about entropy in a planetarium, alien-splaining entropy to these schoolgirls who just stare blankly and have no idea what he's talking about.
Wow.
That's my wish.
And this is why Vanna doesn't want to fuck the cat, is because he didn't
alien-splain entropy hard enough.
Yeah. He was being just a little bit too brief about it.
Little too brief, little too blunt, little too accurate.
Yeah.
Sorry, not a passing grade.
All right, well, that wraps up episode 9. Next week, we're going to be doing a real special episode.
Oh my god.
I will likely cry. I cried a little bit when we were watching the live stream. Aww. It's very sad. And it's my favorite episode of the whole show. And but before we, let's not get into that, because we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we'll get there. There's a lot to chew on.
Who even knows how long that episode is going to be next week?
Oof.
Yeah, that's going to be
a long episode, I think.
That actually might be a 2-parter, because there's going to be a lot to pick apart in each single one of those timelines.
It's just much. Yeah. It's just so much.
Yeah,
we will see what happens, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
All right. Time. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Madoka Magicast, or email us at madokamagicast@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at LambdaPower or on sailorshippost.tumblr.com.
And you can follow us at OHTORI_NU on Twitter, and our website is OHTORI.NU. Just want to mention before we get too far away from things, the Utena Black Rose musical is happening, and I'm doing fundraiser streaming every Friday for this because we have no fucking money. So
we didn't think they were going to do this to us, so...
Yeah, we had thought that they were going to announce it at a specific point, and then they didn't, so we were like, oh, well. And we made plans to buy a car instead, because our car is about to die. Or maybe explode, and I'm not entirely joking.
Catch fire. It leaks gas.
Well, be careful.
Don't worry. I am very careful. Let's just say I can no longer smoke in the car, though.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But yeah,
I will retweet the GoFundMe on the Magicast account if you guys give me the link.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you. But yeah, so, I mean, not to, like, steal attention away from
No,
Magicast
it's fine.
here,
Go ahead.
But yeah, that's happening, and I can't say any more without potentially incriminating myself. But Utena fans know where that last musical came from. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye.